Welcome back to the Brick Abbey. We are continuing our Lego Star Wars TIE Fighter. And man, I hope you guys are enjoying these videos because I'm enjoying making them. And it's just, I got even my setup a little bit more comfortable. So I can just kind of sit and work. And we are obviously done doing the minifig. So we're going to move right into the wings. So we're going to take our sort of central cockpit and chassis here. We're going to put that guy right up there in the corner, and we're going to get started. And my memory is that the wings move a little bit faster than the rest, or actually faster than the faster than the X-wing. The X-wing kind of took a while. It's a little bit different, a little bit of a different build, and it had that central piece that the wings, you know, could rotate with. And that, I think, took a ton of time. So we don't want to go too fast. These videos are meant to be just sort of like a nice, relaxing time to chill and listen to me ramble. But also get work done on the Legos. And I'm excited to launch the actual project. We haven't launched yet. So, like, I'm recording this, and it has not been launched. So we're kind of getting everything ready. We wanted to have a good number of episodes ready before we launched. And so it's that anticipation, you know? So I think we're going to do a bunch of ships first. I think I'll do Slave 1 next. And then we'll have a good base of basic, I think of, like, I guess you would call it like ships. It'd be like a ship series, I guess. I got a lot of different Star Wars Legos that I'm very excited to build, and I've even got some. I'm starting to get some of the Marvel stuff. I got one big Marvel piece, and hopefully can get some more. Because that, I think those, man, oh man, just having your childhood stuff meshed together is so cool, you know. Funny thing is, though, I actually didn't grow up with Marvel. I mean, I grew up with superheroes, obviously, but we were a DC family. Not like a DC family like we were, you know, we only allowed DC comics. No, it wasn't like that. But we had the Hall of Justice and all the different characters. But we did not have the Marvel stuff, and I think it's because, and this is total theory, I don't have anything to base this off of other than my memory. My memory would be that my dad really liked Superman and Batman, and I also think maybe DC had an unfair advantage back then. You'd have to research this. I could be totally just talking out of my ear here, but I feel like DC had an advantage because they actually had TV shows, and Marvel didn't back then. I don't think. I think there was an Iron Man show, I think. But obviously, you had the let's set this one aside. You had the Batman show, the famous one, you know, with the pow and the bam, and the famous scenes of them, like, climbing the sides of buildings where, to the trained eye, they're just sort of walking. But I feel like they had an advantage, you know? And that's probably why we were all about DC. Now, when I got into high school, that is when Star Wars figures were huge, because the movies, they got the originals and did all that stuff to them. And this is before they went too far. Like, back then, when they just sort of made them look nicer, they added a couple of things. It happened in, like, stages, right? Which, it's relevant to talk about Star Wars, right? We're building Star Wars. And they did it in stages. They've gone too far now. You go back and watch those originals, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what did you do to these sweet movies? Kind of feel bad for them. And like they're living things. They're not, but it feels that way sometimes. And I remember going and seeing episode 4, 5, and 6 in the theater. And around that time, all the toys came surging back. And then obviously, when the prequels hit, there were pod racers, there were all kinds of stuff. And even though I wasn't a huge fan of those movies, I still am not. I'm actively probably an anti-fan of the prequels. But we were all about the toys. At least me and my friends were. We were all about the Star Wars toys. And funny thing, I thought that Star Wars Legos were pretty expensive, because growing up, it's like, oh, Legos, such great toys. And you go look at Lego sets, and you kind of go through that shock of, oh my word, like these are so expensive. But then we were at the store the other day with my kiddos, and my son went to a different aisle from the Legos. He started looking at just like Star Wars toys. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, these are so expensive. Like, arguably too expensive, right? And I told my son, I said, I just get the Legos, bud. The Legos seem like such a better value, right? Hey, Lego, if you're listening, we'd love a sponsorship. I don't know if they sponsor channels. They probably don't. Anyway, the toys were just so expensive. I was actually kind of in disbelief. Because it was I was under the impression that like the Star Wars Legos were really expensive. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say that I don't think they're cheap, obviously, but definitely the toys, like the actual Star Wars toys, are quite a bit more expensive from where I sat. Okay, so this is I don't remember this part. I do not remember this part. I'm not quite sure what we're building. Oh, we're building that like little centerpiece thing. Okay. So you build this, and then you need the two sides. I'm going to have to fold the book in half. I'm having a hard time seeing this because I have to turn my head to the side because I need to keep my head in front of the microphone, so it's not the greatest angle. Okay, and then another one of these guys, and then there's these pieces with these ridges that it wants to go there. Okay, if it's gonna have me make two of these. Okay, so we're gonna keep it nearby. So that way we don't lose our place. Okay. There we go. And then we need these to come in again and just they touch in the middle like so. And then you get another one of these. And then these. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And it wants me to fill these. Like so. Nice. Yeah, I remember this part being fun. Well, my son, he wasn't paying much attention. He likes Legos. He does. But the putting them together part, he's a 7-year-old boy. So the attention span is it's just not there. It is not there. And it's fine. I do not care at all cuz I'm having a blast, putting it together. And I remember that being one of the parts that I enjoyed was these wings. And this part I remember being a little funky because you put these guys just on one. It's just on one. It kind of fits in there kind of snug. Like so. Okay, like that. There we go. You got to slide that up there. And then this is when so if we come from this corner, we skip there and we land there. Same deal here. It touches the center. I'm going to get that snap. We're not using, I had a second microphone I was using in some of the earlier recordings. And I just felt like too much ambient noise came through. I'm like obsessive about audio quality. And so I was just kind of listening and didn't like it. Oh, I've missed a step here. Okay. I was like, this isn't lining up. So there is one of these guys, one of these guys, and one of these guys. I was suddenly going through that panic of, that's not going to be a great video. I'm going to have to take pieces off. But not to fear. The long piece goes to the edge. And that piece goes there. There we go. Whoop, 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 whoop. I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Perfect. All right. All right, so now we need 2 of these little guys. And it wants 4 of the what look like almost like corner pieces. And we are on the underside here. And it wants me to make a shape, basically. That's what it looks like to me. Like that. On each side. Kind of pointing to the middle. At least that's what it seems like to me. Sometimes when you're building a Lego set, you see these pieces that are universal, and you swear you're like, did I grab the wrong one? And it's just like you just have to like rotate it. And you'll like second guess yourself. There you go. Perfect. Now you get these fancy little guys. They're like 4 of these. And just 2 of these. And save up. By the way, if you are watching this and you are a Star Wars fan, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm extremely hesitant to talk about certain things, especially in the live environment, which is where I'm typically hanging out. I'm always very cautious because I don't want people to ever have anything spoiled for them. I've had things spoiled for me, and it's really irritating. It's like a infection that someone gives you. It's like you can't get rid of it. It's like, well, now I know. Now I know what happens. Can never not know it. So, but if you are a Star Wars fan, back to what I was getting ready to say, you really, really should be watching Andor. I may have already made that recommendation on these videos. I'm not sure, but not everybody's going to watch every single video. You should. I hope you do. But Star Wars fans should be watching Andor. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time with Obi-Wan, unless of course you're a newer Star Wars fan. The newer the Star Wars fan, the more accepting of Andor. I'm sorry, the more accepting of Obi-Wan people tended to be. At least that's the way that it seemed to me. People like myself that sort of grew up with Star Wars were we were not happy. We were a little irritated. Little is probably an understatement. Okay, so we got these. We got 4 of these. This part, I remember this part being fun too. 4 of these, and we need 2 of these guys here, the balls, and 4 of the smooths. There we go. And then we need 2 of these ones that grab. And the first thing we do, take a grabber, we make that joint, and then we connect 2 pieces, like so. And then it wants a smooth piece on top of each. And then you put a hinge at the end of each. And then what you do is you make 2 of these. It goes around the wing. This was like my favorite part. When I did this, I was like, oh, no way. Because it really brings things together. Because obviously, you can see it on the box, right? But you don't see it, if that makes sense. You don't notice all of the little details. But you really notice them when you put it together. That is just so satisfying. I don't know why. But the click on one side, and then as it lays down across the top like that, and then clicks in, that's great, isn't it? Look at that. That is a wing. Isn't that exciting? Now I'm going to make you wait. They want you to attach it, but we're going to keep him over there and this one here, and then it wants us to build Stormtrooper. But now it's time to do the other wing, and we should be able to do this part a little bit faster because it'll feel familiar. Now, I've said this before. I know at this point we know enough to be dangerous, right? It's like, well, this is when you can easily skip a step or a piece because you're going too fast. Because you're like, oh, I know what's next, and you don't, because you'll skip something. Okay, hinge out, or the open hand for the hinge. Okay, like that. That nice outer smooth edge, and then we take little guys here, and we need 4 studs. Put that there. I always forget that they call them studs, but then when you play the Lego Star Wars games, I was kind of proud of my son. We were playing the new one, the Skywalker Saga, and he was enjoying it, but then he decided that he wanted to go back and play the original because he liked it more. And I thought that was kind of cool that even at 7, he had already developed like a nostalgia. Like, how do you have nostalgia at 7 years old? You know what I'm saying? Like, back in the day, it's like you're 7 years old. But he had already kind of developed his own, nostalgia or affinity. Like the new one in his mind wasn't as good. Flashier, cooler, more characters. Doesn't care. Not as fun in his mind. I thought it was cool. I thought, that just shows you that it's not about, a game doesn't need to be flashy and, new for a kid to enjoy it. He might just enjoy it because it's good. And also, I'm a little sentimental, so I'm assuming some of what he likes is, he's playing with Dad, he's playing with me. They don't call me Dad, they call me Papa. But, I don't know. I like playing video games with my kids. They only get to play once a week, so it's like a big deal. Every Saturday. That is obviously, I think once, maybe twice, they were being kind of bad throughout the week. And that's one of the consequences that we'll pull out if we feel, we need to. Whoop, that's the wrong size. Because that's a painful one. no video games. That one hurts. I feel like we only had to do it one time, because that's all it took. That's all it took. They remembered. Today, actually, they had a pretty severe consequence. They were being so bad for their mama, you know, that when they came back, my wife and I've been doing therapy since 2018, which everybody should, you know, especially if you're having any kind of issues. There shouldn't be stigmas about that. Such a weird thing to have stigmas about. Like, how dare you take care of your brain and your thinking. But anyways, the two of us have been continuing to go, just the two of us, and instead of me going by myself. And we've been doing that I've been doing it since 2018, but we've been doing it together probably about halfway through that. And so when we do it, we like to turn it into a date night. Obviously, the therapy sessions aren't that serious. It's not like, you know, we're not having like a crisis and then going out to dinner afterwards, right? So, but a lot of the times we get a babysitter, and I'll get to hang out with the babysitter and like watch a movie, pizza, all of the fun sort of cliche babysitter things. But when the babysitter we can't get one, and this time the babysitter wasn't feeling well, it wasn't serious. They just had like a sore throat, and it was like they were doing us the courtesy of not coming over, which we were very appreciative of. But when we do that, we do the session remotely. And when we do the session remotely, the kiddos get to watch a movie. Well, they did not get to watch a movie tonight because they were real bad. So we have found that there's lots of different theories on parenting, and there's 8,500 books out there, and everybody will tell you what the secret is. Usually if somebody says, you know, that they have the secret to parenting and obedience, they're probably selling something. or they're in denial and their kids are awful. Yeah, but anyway. The method that we found is just really effective is, you know, there are privileges, and those privileges, you know, you lose those as a consequence because you have to learn, you know, at those young ages that choices have consequences. You know, you're helping them. It's painful. It does, you know, nobody likes to, well, I shouldn't say that, but we certainly don't like taking something away from them. Taking something away from your kids, it makes you sad, you know? I'm always kind of bummed the one or two times we've taken video games away. I'm like, oh man. Like I like playing video games with you guys on Saturday, you know? And we found that it works pretty well because it gives them an opportunity to, you know, to think. You know, they sit in their rooms. They were allowed to have the audiobooks. That's one of their favorite things to do in their room. So it wasn't that severe, right? It was severe enough. And they'll sit in their room and they'll remember. You know, they'll remember the next time. Oh man, that was a bit of a bummer. You know, we did not get to watch a movie. We did not get to do the thing we wanted to do. They don't get to watch a lot of movies. It's kind of a special treat. We really try to limit that screen time. Might sound weird as, you know, professional YouTuber. That sounds so arrogant. Professional YouTuber. But, you know, doing YouTube for a living, and my main channels are all about gaming, to be worried about screen time, but it has such an effect on them that we really limit it. And we're very selective, obviously, as well as in what they get to watch. And my wife would say, you know, she'd be out and about, or she'd be at like an appointment, and a really easy way to bring the kiddos along to the appointment and get them to, you know, behave themselves is she'd put on like an episode of Mr. Rogers, and people would remark like, they're so good, they just sit there. And it's like, well, this isn't a normal thing for them, it's a treat. So it's kind of like secret weapon to kind of pull it out when you need them to chill and just be good, you know? I remember as a kid, screen time wasn't like a thing that parents thought about. I think it was just like a natural sort of, you're not going to watch TV all day kind of a thing. We were outside a lot as kids. And when we got a gaming system in the home, we grew up, before we had a Nintendo, we had a Coleco. And once we had the Nintendo, that was obviously limited as well. It's like, you guys aren't going to play this thing all day. So it was, I think it was like Saturday morning cartoons, and then, go outside was the classic line. Go outside. We had to play outside, which we didn't dislike playing outside. I think some kids these days, you tell them to play outside, they're going to look at you like you got two heads when you play outside. Like, what? My kids love playing outside, which we live in Kentucky, and the summers have been so hot that I know it's hot if they won't play outside. They're like, it's just too hot. And I love our house. I love the little, my daughter calls it a house park. When she first saw the fact that like somebody had a swing set and a slide in their backyard, to her, that's a park, right? So she came up with the term house park. So that's what we call it. So she, was very excited to have her own house park. And so I love our backyard. I love their little house park that they have. But sadly, right around 10 in the morning probably until, 6 in the evening, our backyard is just bathed in sunlight, So there is no rest. There's no rest from the heat. And can make it hard to play. Our front yard's a little bit better. What's going on here? Straight line goes up. There we go. I got it. All right. Moment of truth. We actually did this faster than I anticipated. I thought this one was going to go quicker than the X-Wing. You can see a lot of I think we're dealing with a lot of extra parts right now. I believe they give you extra parts. They're all here. Because I think we use those black ones there. But I had a feeling, I was like, you know what? I was like, I think that the X-Wing is going to take a little bit longer. The X-Wing was also the first set I ever did in this format. So I think I'm just getting a little bit more comfortable. Sitting, I've got my position right. So I'm not hurting my back. The couple of times I caught myself like halfway through the video, I was like, oh my goodness, my back is so sore. Because I was sitting like funny and like craning my neck. And I've learned, get comfortable before you hit that record button. I think the payoff here is going to be great waiting to do the wings. Do the wings all at once. Okay. I'm now worried. Yep. I was like, wait a minute. I think we skipped a step. These were probably in one of the pieces of paper, and I'm like looking from the side. So I didn't see it. I was like, those 4 pieces feel so random to be at the tail end like that. There was one of the steps on the wings, and they got glided over. So let's take these spare pieces here, and let's just get them off the table. And there we go. That's it. So it's moment of truth time. Put these wings on. Snap right in. And there is your TIE Fighter. And open up that cockpit. We got to put our little guy in there. Oh. He's in. Let's get our little shots in. They give you an extra one. These are the same exact ones that are in the X-Wing. And you can see they're on the back. You just give them a little push. We'll demo it right now. You just slightly push it as I try without. that is so cliche. You just slightly push it and it's not gonna go. It's totally not gonna go. All right, let's try this again. It's totally not going. Oh my word. Hang on a minute. Maybe you're supposed to. Or is it pretty forceful? Well, that one went and I wasn't even touching it. Oh, I think you pulled down on it. Let's try again. I thought you just pushed it. All right, let's try one more time. There it is. You just pulled down on it. Well, there you have it. There you have it. The TIE Fighter built and finished. One of my favorite builds. The first one that really inspired this channel. And it's the reason that the Brick Abbey exists, because I built this for my son, and I just was so thrilled and so satisfied that I was like, I want to take pictures of, doing this. It was just such an enjoyable experience with him. I hope you've enjoyed this. This one was a little faster than the X-Wing, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed building this one with you guys. And let us know about, obviously, some of the videos that we do. I'll do a review of this one. We did a review of the X-Wing, so I'll do a review of the TIE Fighter in a separate, shorter video. Let us know what you think of that kind of content, as well as the organization and the other steps. Thank you so much for listening and watching and supporting us. Hit subscribe, like, and all the things, and we'll see you in the next episode here on the Brick Abbey.